Walmart Plus members save on meeting up with friends. Save on having them over for dinner with free delivery with no hidden fees or markups. That's groceries, plus napkins, plus that vegetable chopper to make things a bit easier. Plus, members save on gas to go meet them in their neck of the woods. Plus, when you're ready for the ultimate sign of friendship, start a show together with your included Paramount Plus subscription. Walmart Plus members save on this plus so much more. Start a 30-day free trial at walmartplus.com. Paramount Plus Essential Plan only. Separate registration required. See Walmart Plus terms and conditions.
With the Wells Fargo Active Cash Credit Card, you can earn unlimited 2% cash rewards on purchases you want and purchases you need. That means you earn 2% cash rewards on what you want, like season tickets to watch your favorite team, and 2% cash rewards on what you need, like paying for parking. That's the beauty of the Active Cash Credit Card. It's ready when you are, with unlimited 2% cash rewards. The Wells Fargo Active Cash Credit Card. That's real life ready. Terms apply. Learn more at wellsfargo.com/activecash.
Hey, it's me, your barista. You know how you come in almost every day for our cold foam coffee? Well, now there's an easy way to foam at home with new International Delight Cold Foam Creamer. And it's foaming delicious.
New International Delight Cold Foam Creamer, now in stores. It's foaming delicious.
This episode of the Gegenpressing podcast is brought to you by BetOnline. The tournament is here. BetOnline is your bracket headquarters for this season. The best bracket contest out there, and odds, lines, and info on every game and every round right up until the national championship. You can access the most up-to-the-minute wagering information anytime from your desktop or your mobile devices, and even track your bracket real-time all the way through the tournament. Head to BetOnline today and get in on all the action. Remember to use the promo code BELIEVE, that is BLEAV, BELIEVE, for your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, the game starts here. Hello and welcome to Gegenpressing, the Bundesliga podcast. I'm Manu and Stefan. The preview show is back. We have a big weekend of football ahead of us, Stefan. It's Bundesliga football, and we have a lot to talk about. But how's it going?
Yeah, I'm doing very well. Just back from a short hike with the dog. It's Easter weekend here, so I've got Friday and Monday off. Had the day off as well, actually, so very relaxed, very much looking forward to some football this weekend. Glad the Bundesliga is back, that's for sure.
I'm about 2 hours away from going on my own Easter long weekend. Just have to tie up some loose ends over on Transfermarkt and obviously this show, and then I'm going to do the same thing and start my Easter weekend. I am ready. I think this is universally loved by everyone. As our 4-day weekend is like the best. When you get like the Friday and the Monday, that's just so good. It's just so good because like you wake up on like Saturday and you're like, oh wow, I have 3 more days of this.
Yeah, there's nothing better than waking up on a Sunday knowing you don't have to go to work on a Monday.
Yeah, I know. It's so good. It's so good. Having said all that too, people might be a little confused about this Bundesliga match day, right? Because there is no Friday game. That's an easy explanation. Parts of Germany take Easter Friday. What is it? Good Friday? It's Good Friday, right? In English? Yeah. They take that very serious. It's what the Germans call a quiet holiday. You lived in Germany. You remember what a quiet holiday is?
Every Sunday was a quiet holiday to me in Germany, compared to the UK, where everything was needlessly shut. Everyone off the mountains or cycling for the day, and us expats were left just roaming the city centres, wondering what to do with themselves.
All right, so a quiet holiday is even more extreme than that. It means no music is allowed to be played in establishments. So you're not allowed to run a disco or anything. Yeah. Crazy, eh? I don't know. I'm with you. I hate. Even as a kid growing up in Germany, I hated the Sundays because like you have all that free time to do stuff, right? Nothing is open. I just don't get it.
Yeah.
Well, anyways,
even the Bundesliga can't get away with it. So
so the quiet holidays are even more extreme. So you're not even allowed to play on them, which. We won't have any football on Friday, which some would argue, like the purists among Bundesliga fans would say, well, shouldn't be any football other than on Saturday. It's 3:30 anyways. I guess so. Anyhow, Stefan, that means we are going to jump in with our first Saturday fixture, and that is Leipzig against Mainz. And I think Leipzig are going to be quite happy with the little bit of a break they have, and they're going to be also very happy on putting lots and lots of pressure on Borussia Dortmund, who play later that day against Bayern Munich, and they're going to win this game 3-0.
Yeah, I've gone for something very similar. I've gone for 2-0 for Leipzig. I think they know that they have to pick up 3 points this weekend, considering the manner in which Dortmund have a pretty sizable task on hand. And yeah, you're right. I think they probably would have benefited from the break. I thought Dani Olmo in particular looked outstanding for Spain. He scored a really great goal against Brazil. It's definitely worth looking up. So he looks back to his best. So yeah, Mainz have kind of caused some issues recently, but I think Leipzig will have enough about them. So yeah, I'm going for a 2-0 win.
Yeah, easy. Easy there. By the way, that Spain-Brazil game, I watched the end of it after the Germany game, and that was a really good match. 3-3 in the end. Really entertaining. Like many European teams, Spain doesn't seem to be able to defend those in his start. Speaking of teams that actually can defend, that's up next. Leverkusen against Hoffenheim. There's another team that can put pressure on someone else ahead of a big match, and that's Leverkusen. And what do you think here? Are Leverkusen going to keep up the pressure, quote-unquote, on Bayern Munich to having to deliver to, I don't know, trying to stay in this race?
Yeah, I think I've got a Leverkusen win here. They have been, as always, more or less impossible to break down. And they come up against a Hoffenheim side who looked really poor going into this international break. Hoffenheim have kind of almost exclusively relied on their away form this season. And even that was looking pretty ropey before the break. They lost 3-1 to Frankfurt. They drew to Wolfsburg before that. And then the defeats to Freiburg as well, I think, before that. So if they can't really get it going on the road, then there's something going on with this Hoffenheim side. And I think they'd have to be their absolute best to beat Leverkusen. So yeah, I've gone for a 2-1 win here for Leverkusen.
Yeah, I've gone for something similar. I went for 2-0 win for Leverkusen. Just trying to figure out if Boniface is back for this one or if we have to wait another week. Trying to quite sort this. Because I think that would make a huge difference, right? If the big Nigerian striker is back. I'm checking this out on the fly. We might as well just move on to the next game. Because hold on. I have the list, the injury list in front of me. This is typical podcasting when I'm not 100% prepared. And yeah, kicker headline: Victor Boniface is set to return. Does that change your prediction on this game, Stefan?
No, because I had Leverkusen to win. So if he plays, then I suspect he'll do even better.
Yeah. No, I mean like by even a more decisive result. I guess that's getting the job done. Yeah. Either way, up next is Frankfurt against Union Berlin, and I suspected a 1-1 draw here. This is Frankfurt is still somehow in this Champions League race, although I do not think that they're going to be able to maintain the pace that Leipzig and Dortmund are going to set for the rest of the season. So I think they're going to be looking in from the outside, which is 6th place is pretty good. And, facing an Union Berlin side that slowly but surely is creeping up the table, which, screams to me 1-1.
Yeah, I've actually gone for a draw as well. I think the initial reaction, or my initial thought, was to go for Frankfurt for this one. But there's something about Union Berlin, as we've talked about recently before the international break, they have certainly kind of done quite well. In fact, I think I read that they've now picked up as many points in the second half of the season as they had done the whole of the first half of the season. Which kind of goes to show how bad they were in the first half and how well they've done in the second half. I think if you were to look at their away form recently, it would look very unspectacular. They've only got 1 win in 5, but I think if you kind of look a little closer, you'll see that those 3 defeats are to Stuttgart, to RB Leipzig, and to Bayern Munich. So, they've had a tough run of it, and I think they're actually probably better than, just 1 win in 5 would suggest. So I think they're going to cause Frankfurt quite a lot of problems here. So I've gone for a 2-2 draw.
Yeah, so we're pretty much in accord here. Up next, Gladbach against Freiburg. First game since Streich announced that he is going to leave the club at the end of the season. Do you think that's going to have an impact here, Stefan?
I do, actually. I think, if I'm not mistaken, these two teams have drawn their last 4 or 5 games. They've got some crazy stat like that, and neither of them have been incredibly impressive, and being perfectly honest with you. But I just think sometimes when managers do announce that they're going to move on, or there's going to be a change, for one reason or another, players do tend to just kind of step up a gear. Sometimes it's because they want to impress the next guy that's coming in. They want to prove that they can still do something before the club maybe starts making some wholesale changes in the squad. But I suspect in Freiburg's case, it would just simply be a case of them wanting to do well by Streich. And I think his planned departure will kind of galvanise that team. And against the Gladbach team, who've looked really quite, undoubtedly quite troubled this season in more ways than one, I think Freiburg probably should have enough about them. So I've gone for a very narrow 2-1 win.
Yeah, I went for something very similar. I suspect is, how do you say that? Not new coach bounce, coach leaving bounce. But yeah, I mean, when an icon like Christian Streich announces that he is going to leave, I suspect the players may have known beforehand, before the Leverkusen game, maybe, because I can't remember which one it was. Maybe it was Grifo accidentally slipped after the Europa League game that he suspected that Streich was going to leave. After the Leverkusen game. So I suspect the players knew. But once it's out, and that kind of from now on, it's a long goodbye tour, isn't it? And I do think that's going to free up quite a lot of things, and also players are now playing for the new coach, right? It was going to be Julian Schuster, and so they want to impress. They're already on kind of we need to impress the new guy track here, and so I actually had this as a Freiburg win as well. I am a bit more decisive than you, 2-0 for Freiburg at the end. Up next, another new coach, Ralph Hasenhüttl, back in the Bundesliga. I'm actually really intrigued by this, Stefan. You wrote about it in your newsletter. They're playing Werder Bremen. I suspect another new coach bounce here. Also, really good timing to actually change the coach, right? Having essentially 2 weeks to work during the international break. I know a lot of players are off and so on, but it does give you some time to work things and get used to things as well. I think Wolfsburg are going to win this game 2-0. What do you think?
I've gone for a 2-2 draw, actually. I did write about Hasenhüttl, and, I think, as I kind of said in my newsletter, he's a guy who once upon a time had ambitions of actually retiring from football quite early on. He'd kind of hoped that he could kind of get Southampton to a certain level, then kind of sail off into the sunset, never to be seen again, and that kind of fell apart, and it kind of seems as though he's now moved on to Wolfsburg with the hope of kind of not only kind of maybe rebuilding his reputation, but also finding a long-term project like Southampton that he can sink his teeth into, and maybe leave something of a legacy behind. I know plenty of German football fans will kind of scoff at the idea of Wolfsburg being some sort of romanticised club that you can have a legacy at, but I think it's clear that he just adores long-term projects, and Wolfsburg do have a lot of young players. They've got a decent squad. I think they probably have to do a lot of work in the transfer window to kind of get back to where they maybe should be in the league, because they've still got the 4th or 5th biggest wage budget. I think, if I'm not mistaken, the last 5 years only Bayern has actually got a higher net spend on them in the transfer window. So they have thrown quite a lot of money around. That was after Dieselgate, which reportedly kind of hampered their ambitions. But Anyway, that's all on the horizon. Right now, I think there's still quite a lot of trouble at Wolfsburg. I think the squad probably still has to get back on his feet. Hasenhüttl has had time to work with most of them, although obviously a lot of players will be in international duty. But I think they'll come up against a good Werder Bremen side who've kind of punched above their weight this season, who will also be galvanised, who will also be back to full fitness. So I've just gone for a 2-2 draw here because I think Wolfsburg will slowly start ticking upwards under Hasenhüttl, but I think going to Bremen and winning all 3 points might be too much for him just yet.
Yeah, Wolfsburg need the points. They second to bottom in the Rückrundentabelle. 9 games, 5 draws, 4 defeats. Oh, no wins. That's atrocious. Only Darmstadt have been worse in the second half of the season. Needless to say, Wolfsburg need wins and draws and points, most importantly, to get out of there. 9 games without a win in the second half of the season. That's atrocious, Stefan. No wonder. I'm actually surprised Kovac lasted as long as he did, to be quite honest with you. Going to the bottom of the Rückrundentabelle to the top, third in the Rückrundentabelle is a team that is going to play at the Allianz Arena against Bayern in a match that people still like to call a Klassiker. In fact, we did a bonus show on whether it still should be called a Klassiker. I had a certain employee of the DFL text me the moment you posted that show on our Substack, text me saying, yes, it's still the Klassiker. All right, I guess that's the marketing machine telling us what to call this. Yes, overlords at the DFL, this is the Klassiker. I apologize. And I guess when you take the Rückrundentabelle, maybe you shouldn't be calling it the Klassiker because Dortmund is so far away from the title, but because they're actually 4 points ahead of Bayern Munich in the second half of the season, Stefan. And we want to dive into this match a little bit more because we talked about all the off-field stuff and there's a lot going on at both clubs in the bonus show. So if you're not a subscriber yet, I urge you to listen to that, sign up, get in on that show because we break down tons of things, whether it's Alphonso Davies, Bayern's new coach, what's going on with Dortmund, their power struggles at the top, etc., etc., etc. Now let's focus on the on-field stuff. Is this Klassiker? Do we believe the DFL here, Stefan? Like, should we even call this a Klassiker? Because not only are Bayern not in the title race anymore, but Dortmund have never been in it. Yet at the same time, going on form, Dortmund have actually been pretty decent in the second half of the season. So I'm a little confused. What are we doing here?
Well, we just did a 40-minute podcast on whether it's the Klassiker, so I'm going to let people listen to that rather than me just recite what I said there. But in terms of what's going to actually happen in this game, it's hard to really put too much weight into it. We've already got the Substack thread for this weekend up and running, and first things first, we're Dortmund fans discussing, whether Terzic could actually get sacked if Dortmund get thumped in this game, and I suggested that I'd be actually quite surprised because I think most people at Dortmund expect to lose this game comfortably, if I'm being honest with you. So I don't really think there's any danger of Terzic losing his job to this match in particular, although he does have a really difficult run of games after this one, which could lead to him maybe prematurely losing his job before the end of the season. I just think Dortmund's going to get absolutely thumped, if I'm being perfectly honest with you. They're missing some players, but the most important one's actually Marcel Sabitzer, who I think's been one of their best players in recent games, to be honest with you. I think he's kind of plugged a midfield hole that I wouldn't go so far as to say he's obviously replaced Jude Bellingham because that's ridiculous, but he's filled a hole in that team that no one else in the team can fill in recent games, and I think he'll be a huge miss in that game. And I was just looking at Kicker's predicted lineup, and they suggest that it could be Emre Can and Salios Can in the midfield, or maybe Julian Brandt in there with Emre Can. And if I was a Dortmund fan, I'd be covering my eyes at the thought of I wouldn't even bother turning the television on, if I'm being honest with you, because I think either one of those kind of duos is just going to get absolutely trounced by Bayern. So, Bayern, obviously Dortmund have done well recently, but I think they have kind of proven kind of time and time again that when they do come up against decent teams this season, they do just completely crumble.
And except for the Champions League.
But PSV aren't a good team. They're not a good top class team the same way that Leverkusen are, or Leipzig are, or Bayern Munich are. Yes, it's a Champions League fixture, but I mean, of course, yes, there's the group stage games, but they were 6 months ago now, so I'm not sure how much they actually play into it. But don't get me wrong, if Terzic goes into this game playing that kind of Champions League defensive football, then there's every chance that they could get something from it. But I just think they're missing Sabitzer, who I think will be a big doubt for them. I think Royce is maybe missing, or he might not be fully fit for this game. Mats Hummels potentially isn't fit either, or maybe it can't start the game. And then on the other side of it as well, Bayern Munich went into the international break in really quite impressive form. And, as we've talked about in recent shows, it feels as though Bayern have had a weight lifted from their shoulders since the Tuchel announcement. They could be moving on. So I don't know. Everything about this game just kind of makes me think that Bayern are going to win it quite comfortably.
With the Wells Fargo Active Cash Credit Card, you can earn unlimited 2% cash rewards on purchases you want and purchases you need. That means you earn on what you want, like trying out that new workout class, and 2% cash rewards on what you need, like a foam roller for your sore muscles. That's the beauty of the Active Cash Credit Card. It's ready when you are, with unlimited 2% cash rewards. The Wells Fargo Active Cash Credit Card. That's real life ready. Terms apply. Learn more at wellsfargo.com/activecash.
Walmart Plus members save on meeting up with friends. Save on having them over for dinner with free delivery with no hidden fees or markups. That's groceries plus napkins plus that vegetable chopper to make things a bit easier. Plus, members save on gas to go meet them in their neck of the woods. Plus, when you're ready for the ultimate sign of friendship, start a show together with your included Paramount Plus subscription. Walmart Plus members save on this plus so much more. Start a 30-day free trial at walmartplus.com. Paramount Plus Essential Plan only. Separate registration required. See Walmart Plus terms and conditions.
Hey, it's me, your barista. So you know how you come in almost every day for our cold foam coffee? Yeah, well, I might be putting myself out of a job by telling you this, but now there's an easy way to foam at home with new International Delight Cold Foam Creamer. With 3 new foaming flavors, French vanilla, sweet and creamy, and caramel macchiato, who could blame you if you stopped coming in altogether? Yeah, it's that foaming delicious. You're welcome.
New International Delight Cold Foam Creamer, now in stores. It's foaming delicious.
People are driven by the search for better. But when it comes to hiring, the best way to search for a candidate isn't to search at all. With over 350 million global monthly visitors, Indeed's matching engine helps you find quality candidates fast. You get to ditch the busy work. Use Indeed for scheduling, screening, and messaging so you can connect with candidates faster. It's not just about hiring faster, though. 93% of employers agree Indeed delivers the highest quality matches compared to other job sites, according to a recent Indeed survey. Don't search. Match with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed.
This episode of the Gegenpressing podcast is brought to you by BetOnline. The tournament is here. BetOnline is your bracket headquarters for this season. The best bracket contest out there, and odds, lines, and info on every game and every round right up until the national championship. You can access the most up-to-the-minute wagering information anytime from your desktop or your mobile devices, and even track your bracket real-time all the way through the tournament. Head to BetOnline today and get in on all the action. Remember to use the promo code BELIEVE, that is BLEAV, BELIEVE, for your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, the game starts here. That's the reflex, isn't it? And we'd be hard pressed to bet on anything else. Dortmund have lost in last 9 out of 10 games against Bayern Munich. They usually, poo emoji bet at the Allianz Arena to keep this off explicit. And there is absolutely nothing that would suggest that this should change. The only thing that kind of makes me think, if you're a Dortmund fan, is they're going into this match for the first time in a very long time without any expectations. I mean, they have to obviously get points to stay in this Champions League race. I mean, they have made up 8 points to Leipzig since the winter break, which is pretty impressive. But it makes me think. I hate to say this because it's gonna go be 10 minutes in, and I'm going to be so wrong about this prediction that I'm going to make here, Stefan. But I actually think Dortmund are gonna win this game. And here's why. And I am so ready to be wrong about this, but if this prediction actually holds true, and my prediction on why I think I might be right is because there is no burden for them to win this game. The irony of course of it is, what happens if Dortmund wins this game and Leverkusen win theirs? It's the final nail in the coffin, isn't it? And wouldn't it be the most hilarious thing in the world that Dortmund finally dethrone Bayern, but it will be someone else who will benefit from it? And I just can't get past that narrative. It would be so typical in so many ways for Dortmund to be der Meistermacher for another team after them for years stumbling over their own feet, including, of course, in this dramatic finale last year, right? And I don't know, it just feels like it's written in the stars. I also have a few hard factors that make me kind of pause here. You mentioned Dortmund's players that are not there and available for it. Sabitzer, of course. Neuer isn't going to play. Sven Ulreich is in goal. I'm not sure Harry Kane is 100% fit. He completed an individual training session today, and I assume he would play even with half a foot. But we had Sepp on the main show the week before last, right? Where we talked about Harry Kane and his troubles of coming back from ankle injuries and how he always takes a few weeks to get going again, because he's quite a big guy, right? And I wonder if that is going to hurt Bayern. Another aspect is Pavlovic is out still with his tonsillitis, right? Infection that also kept him away from the German national team. It's just, I don't know. I just sense Dortmund could get something here. And I'm going to eat my words like I usually do whenever I predicted a Dortmund win, but I can't help myself. I'm going to do it regardless.
It would be so very Dortmund for them to go and win this game when absolutely no one expects them to do so.
Yeah.
And to help another team do what they haven't been able to do in the last 11 seasons. So by the gods of football, I think you might be onto something, to be honest with you, but I think if we
100% fuels my thinking here, to be honest.
I think if we both predicted Dortmund winning this game, people would probably begin to wonder what we're talking about. So we cover all bases.
Yeah, I think it's good that we have a different opinion, and I don't actually necessarily disagree with you, because I think if Dortmund win this, it'll be a narrow 2-1 win. That's my prediction. Fair. If they don't win it narrowly, if they don't play it like they played in many of the Champions League games, like the Newcastle game comes to mind, right? The both of them, where they were quite tactically disciplined. Any form or any lack of tactical discipline at the Allianz Arena will see them get drowned, or get smashed. So to what used the vocabulary that you used, and so they need a perfect performance here. And if they're not anywhere near that, Harry Kane will have his usual field day and make them look bad. So let's see. I mean, that makes it intriguing, doesn't it? If Dortmund win, they'll be on 53. Bayern will still be on 60. Leverkusen will be on 73. I did the math. If Bayern Munich keep their current point If they stay on their current points per game, the maximum they will get says 75. So Leverkusen would be technically only one win away then from winning the championship, not mathematically, but logically. And so this match will have huge implications in that regard. Although I assume Leverkusen are gonna win it anyways. So we'll see. All right, up next, Augsburg against Köln. What do we think here, Stefan?
I've got for a 2-0 win for Augsburg, who are quickly but surely flying up the league table since the start of the year. And, just really an incredible run of form, to be perfectly honest with you. And, in the last 10 match days, they're 5th in the league table, which is just absolutely incredible. And Cologne are not. So, yeah, sorry, Cologne, but yeah, I've gone for a 2-0 win here for Augsburg.
I've gone for something similar. I went for a 2-1 win for Augsburg. Yeah, the Augsburg have been excellent, right? Even I have to admit that, and they remain on course for Europe, right?
Yeah, probably the best performing Bavarian club in the Bundesliga this season, I would say.
Sure. They're not the best performing Swabian team though, which is and will remain Stuttgart, who are facing another Swabian team in Heidenheim. And that is probably going to be a pretty easy, straightforward prediction. Stuttgart, or also known as Germany's team, going to win this game 3-0. And if I'm right, would be only 1 point behind Bayern at this stage, Stefan. What do you think? Is Stuttgart going to keep up the pressure on Bayern Munich?
I'm not sure I'd go that far. But I do think they will win this game, but I also expect Bayern to win their game. So for now, I've got the 4-point gap remaining in place. But they would pull 9 points clear of Dortmund in 5th in my... so very slowly but surely getting to the point where they're confirmed for Champions League football next season. I think they're already confirmed for European football. Yeah, they should be.
Yeah.
I think they did that last match day, the match day before. But yeah, very quickly approaching the Champions League level, which I should also say I predicted a 3-1 win here. But we've obviously talked a lot about Stuttgart, but I think it's also worth pointing out how just incredible it would be for them to finish in the Champions League spots. Obviously Leverkusen kind of steal all the attention this season, but Stuttgart finishing 3rd or even 2nd if they can is maybe not as historic as Leverkusen winning the title, because Stuttgart have a long and illustrious history, but in recent years it would be one for the history books.
Although I would argue that they're finally where they're supposed to be, given the size of the club and the city and the financial backing that is now available. Although in true Stuttgart Swabian fashion, there is a lot of behind closed door fighting going on that is credit to Sebastian Hoeneß and the sporting team that they are able to completely shut that out, right? It's a great article from Matt Ford from last week, if you haven't read it yet, on the inner turmoils at VfB Stuttgart and the dual investor deal, Mercedes, Porsche, and what that has caused. And the final word on that isn't spoken yet, although I think Porsche is going to go through. It's more of like how the structure of the club is going to be going forward and how the fans are going to keep their word there. But, that adds to the fact of how amazing of a job Hoeneß has done, considering how difficult a club like Stuttgart can be to navigate with everything that's going around there, right? And obviously big club with lots of members and lots of industry interest, having 2 of Germany's biggest car makers involved says a lot about the level that you add. And I think this should actually be the standard for them. Being in the top 4 of German football should be normal. And it's not that long ago, Stefan, that they've won the title. 2008? 2007 was the last Bundesliga title win. So it's not that long ago. So, it would be nice to see them back in that kind of level and maybe, finally get their house in order and challenge the bigger teams around them. All right, so the last match. This is actually quite a big one because if our predictions are right, Mainz, Köln lose. Bochum, with a win, could pull 9 points clear of Mainz and the relegation playoff spot. And I think they're going to do just that, Stefan. I went for a 2-1 win for Bochum over Darmstadt.
I've got the exact same result, actually. I think, Darmstadt have caused some issues recently, especially away from home, if I'm not mistaken. They've drawn 3 of the last 5 games. They got taken points off Bremen, Gladbach, and Hoffenheim, and only lost narrowly to Union Berlin. So, they are, maybe would go as far as showing signs of life. I think, they're all but relegated, barring something miraculous. But I think Bochum will have to be at their absolute best, and this is, as the old cliche goes, a 6-pointer. It's a game that Bochum can use to put arm's length between them and Mainz, and keep Darmstadt down there. So Gladbach do have a good home record. Darmstadt have looked decent on the road recently, so I think it's going to be a very tight match. It's going to be a great game to take in on Sunday after your Easter roast or whatever you might be planning to do on a Sunday. If you're still awake at that point on the couch. But it depends where you are. I suppose if you're in the US, you're probably just you're probably having your porridge or cornflakes maybe at that point. I'd go for a 2-1 win for Bochum. I think it's going to be a very narrow win.
I'm going to have the world's best breakfast. That's going to be Eggs Benedict with smoked salmon, Stefan.
Oh, very nice. Yep, classic, very nice.
Yeah, that's going to be my Easter breakfast. I already bought the smoked salmon. I can't wait. And that's the ideal start to an Easter Sunday if there ever is one, and then you can take in Bochum versus Darmstadt after that. Also, that wraps up the podcast. As always, brought to you by BetOnline in association with Get German Football News. Great website. Can only highly recommend it. But also another shout out to the Matchday thread on our Substack. So if you're looking for a community to get involved in, find like-minded Bundesliga fans to just chat about anything, both Stefan and I are active in there as well. So you can always ask us questions too throughout the Matchday. We try to be on top of it, but it's a lot of people in there, Stefan. So it's not easy to always keep up. But I do highly recommend it. It's a very safe space, very different than other social media companies that shall not be named on this podcast. So go check that out, and also check out the great content on the site. Stefan, you wrote on Dortmund. I did something on the Nike Germany deal. And then, of course, we broke down all the German national team games, and we also discussed Bayern and Dortmund ahead of the Klassiker, the off-field issues. So go check that out. That's all available on the Gegenpressing Substack. Stefan, any final thoughts before we wrap up this week?
Nope, just good to be back and good to have the German football back in our lives, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, and happy Easter if you celebrate, and if you're not, just enjoy the holidays. We'll be back soon. Until then, auf Wiedersehen.
Thank you for listening to Believe. You can show support to your host by subscribing to the show and giving us a 5-star rating on your preferred platform. Check us out at Believe.com and search for BLEAV on YouTube.
When you're listening to a true crime story that has an unbelievable plot twist that makes you stop in your tracks? That's what our podcast, People Are the Worst, brings you with each episode. I'm Rachel.
And I'm Rebecca. We're identical twins who love true crime cases that make you say, didn't see that coming, and we hate the people responsible for them. Listen to People Are the Worst now on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.